Welcome to the weekly shir of Zera Shimshon, and I know it's Erev Pesach for a lot of people, including us. So I'll make this as short as possible and in English, so it's easier to understand. It's a Vav Nisan, woo, beautiful day, and it's Erev Shabbos Parshas Vayikra. We're starting a new Torah, and I wanted to tell you a little piece from the Zera Shimshon. It's called "Your Talking to Me is Precious," and he says Vayikra al Moshe, and we know there's a little aleph, that says a lot of different pshatim of why it's a little aleph. Okay, and he called out to Moshe, Vayidaber Hashem elav, Vayoel Maya Lemar. He called to Moshe, and Hashem spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying, okay, the Midrash of Vayikra Rabbah tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu was distressed at not having been granted the opportunity to contribute anything to the Mishkan. Now, you would think he shouldn't be upset about that, but he is. So, and Hashem responded to him by saying, by your life, that's a lashon of shua, an oath, I enjoy your speech more than anything else. You are the only one I called, he said, and he called to Moshe. Okay? Now, what did Moshe do that pleased Hashem so much? The Midrash in Bamidbar Rabbah elaborates that with a pasuk in Mishlei. He says, he who guards the fig tree and will eat its fruit. Why does the pasuk specifically use the fig tree as an example and not any other kind of tree? The answer lies in the difference between the fig tree and every other tree. On most trees, all the fruits become ripe at the same time. But the fruits ripen in stages on fig trees. Some earlier, some later. One needs to guard its fruit to prevent the birds from eating it. Moshe Rabbeinu was the overseer of the work on the Mishkan. He supervised all the minutiae. He was meiser nefesh to make sure that all the work met Hashem's specifications and didn't deviate in the slightest from what Hashem commanded. It was as though the Mishkan was a fig tree that he watched over as each stage developed. The work of the Mishkan was therefore attributed to him, as the Torah writes, on the day that Moshe finished. Okay, the Midrash tells us that, doesn't say the Bnei Yisrael finished, Moshe finished. The Midrash tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu's speech was incredibly beloved by Hashem. That implies that Moshe was the one doing all the talking. However, the Midrash cites the pasuk he called to Moshe, where we find Hashem doing the talking and not Moshe. So Vayikra el Moshe is God is talking to Moshe, not Moshe's talking to God. So how can it reflect Moshe's speech? When the Midrash says, well, your speech is beloved by me, it is referring to Moshe's ongoing discussions with the craftsmen and those who were doing the construction. This devotion on Moshe's part was more beloved by Hashem than anything donated by anybody else. So he was the general contractor. Never thought about it like this. Why is that? He who convinces people to do a mitzvah is greater than the one who does it himself. That's a Gemara Bava Basra 9a. Moshe was the one who stood behind the people and inspired them to maximize their potential. And as Hashem treasured him for it and told him not to feel bad, since it was his doing that was the cause of everything else. That is why Hashem called to Moshe and secluded himself alone with Moshe inside the Mishkan. It was as if Moshe himself had done everything, and therefore it was all attributed to his name. This is also why the pasuk concludes by the word saying, lemar, right? Which implies that because Moshe Rabbeinu told everyone what to do and how to do it, he was called to come before Hashem, because it was his power of speech that had succeeded in constructing the perfect Mishkan, and it was all attributed to him. That's from the Zera Shimshon in our Parshas. It's the first piece. It's a very beautiful piece. Anyway, have a wonderful Shabbos. I hope it wasn't too long. Kol tov.